Why widespread tech layoffs keep happening despite a strong U.S. economy. Let me just put full screen on this. Let's see this.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
Thanks for meeting with me and Rosie. We have an important meeting today. We finished our evaluations of 2023 performance. This is where you have not met Cloudflare expectations for performance. We've decided to part ways with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there.
This is a viral video posted by Brittany Peach, a former employee of Cloudflare, a Sanford.
I might have to pause. I did a video on this not too long ago, so I'll put it up the thing right here in case you're curious.
Based tech company. The video posted on January 2024 and got so much attention that it may have kicked off a new subgenre of viral video. Watch this person get laid off in real time. The tech industry is again seeing widespread layoffs after a rough 2023.
LinkedIn just laid off nearly 700 employees. Qualcomm is planning to cut more than 1,200 jobs.
Google, Amazon, and Snap are among the companies continuing to downsize.
And the start of 2024 seems no different as layoff announcements, especially in the tech industry, continue to make headlines.
Seeing all these layoffs worry me. What's interesting is it's happening in the tech industry because not too long ago, we were just telling people to learn to code, right? So they get a tech job, and now they're getting laid off. And now I don't know if they'll explain it later, but there's just a boom in tech, right? Especially during the pandemic to get all these tech workers. And now they don't need them anymore. AI is probably going to have something to do with it, but now there's going to be a shift of what do you do with all these tech workers? Some of them are going to start their own businesses, they're going to work for another company, or they'll just end up learning a new skill and do something else. But it's just one of those shifts, right, of certain jobs that got expanded, and then now it's leveling out.
Units affected, they also include hardware, engineering, ad sales. So far, last night, CEO Sundar Pichai told his workforce to expect more cuts. An Amazon spokesperson did confirm those layoffs.
And their stock goes up too. Isn't that frustrating when you see all these layoffs by these corporations and their stock prices go up? Like, how is that okay in our society? Like, getting laid off is like this earth-shattering moment. It's freaking crazy. You don't know where you're going to get your next money because it's not coming in anymore. And you're in this struggle. Yet the company that laid you off, their valuations just went up, right? And, a lot of people say, oh, the best employees don't get laid off. No, for the most part, if you're working at these big corporations, they just cut people like that. You're just a number to them for the most part. If it's a small business, different argument. But corporations like this, they'll replace you right away.
Head of Prime and Prime Video and MGM saying in that memo that the company is making some of the cuts to prioritize investments for the long term.
Layoffs are also plaguing industries like healthcare, banking, and media. However, the tech industry is the one that's been dominating the headlines.
This layoff and everything that's happened in tech, I think is pretty eye-opening. Like you can have your dream job, you can have your, it's my dream to work for Microsoft, or it's my dream to work for AWS. And you get there and you realize, okay, it's just like any other job. It's a great place to be. There's a lot of great perks, but at the end of the day, they can get rid of you like that.
The layoffs
That's really true. Like I just said, they can let go of you like that, huh? And it's frustrating. Is this not concerning? We're having all these layoffs? Because I remember the financial crisis of 2008 when there was just like reporting a bunch of layoffs. I mean, I understand it's not as much. Because back then it was like each month was like 500,000 jobs there and there, right? But this, I mean, they haven't told us how many layoffs have happened so far. But then they're always bragging about how there's all this new employment. I'm pretty sure a lot of it has to do with people taking second jobs because this inflation sucks.
The start of 2024 signal a dramatic shift in the tech industry. We're going to continue to see layoffs happen as the future of work has changed, as the future of technology has changed, and as investors' appetite for risk and growth versus profitability has dramatically changed as well.
So why are big tech companies and other industries laying off tens of thousands of workers at a time when the U.S. economy looks strong on paper?
Yeah, I was just talking about this.
The start of the COVID-19 pandemic was a dire economic event, at least at first. The tech industry, though, boomed. In 2020, tech's top 7 companies added $3.4 trillion in value. The Fed's emergency moves to bolster the pandemic-hit economy, like cutting interest rates to near zero, helped boost tech stocks. This move helped the tech industry to expand and went on a hiring spree as people were confined to home. Amazon added the most number of employees during this golden period, peaking at 1.6 million employees in 2021.
If you rewind before the layoffs, all the tech companies were really putting an emphasis on growth. And so capital was really cheap, so you could get loans, you could get money, access to capital was really affordable. And then you see as interest rates went up.
If you didn't understand what he said, he meant borrowing money. Borrowing money was really cheap, lower interest rates. You borrow more money, you can invest that into your company to expand, get more employees, stuff like that.
And you start to see that growth in headcount didn't translate to growth in profitability, and access to capital became quite a bit tighter. You saw many companies start to hit the panic button. And so we saw these thousands and thousands of people get laid off all at once. And that was quite a shock.
80% of Twitter either left or quit or was pushed out, laid off, whatever you want to call it, and yet the website still runs. Do you think people are looking at Elon Musk and thinking, you know what? Do we really need all these people?
I do give Elon Musk credit for this, for kicking off and making this acceptable with Twitter, but a lot of the big companies decided to get lean and efficient. This is where you kind of start to see the incredible leverage of what these tech platforms really have, which is they didn't need those people, right? They were hoarding the talent. It was an option bet and it was a cheap one for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like Elon Musk said, we don't need all these people. So yeah, is the company more efficient? Does it need so many people to run the way it is running right now? And all these other tech companies are probably thinking the same thing, right? Like, do we need all these people to run this? I mean, it sucks to get laid off. I've been laid off before, but man, I feel bad for those people getting laid off. It's a terrible situation to be in.
Every tech CEO, do you take inspiration for what Elon does? Yeah. And they'll say on the record, no, we don't. We would never want to do that. But, in the group chats, they're all like, wow, that was an amazing move.
Took the words out of my mouth. Like, yeah, like CEOs are like, hey, we could do the same thing and save a lot of money and our stock and valuation will go up and whatnot. We don't need all these people. Lay them off. I worry about people who want to get a career in tech, though, because it's like the turnaround rate, man. They use you for like a good year or two, and then they fire you right away as soon as they don't need you anymore.
The artificial intelligence hype of 2023 is starting to have real-world effects in 2024. Major tech CEOs are doubling down their investments in AI. In January 2024, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced his plans to build an artificial general intelligence known as AGI.
Hey everyone. Today, I'm bringing Meta's 2 AI research efforts closer together to support our long-term goals of building general intelligence, open sourcing it responsibly, and making it available and useful to everyone in all of our daily lives.
All this investment in creating AI jobs, but at the expense of others. The recent report from Indeed shows that the number of job posts containing Gen AI terms has been surging.
So there's about a 500% increase in the number of jobs that mention generative AI. There's about a 6,000% increase in the demand from job seekers for these jobs. But there still is, I think, a mismatch the other way in that the total amount of demand for AI talent far outstrips the number of AI professionals.
So it sounds like people who lost their jobs in tech need to quickly learn the fields of AI. So they're still working in tech, but instead of so much coding, they're going to have to learn much more about AI. And who's to say AI is going to take over their jobs once it gets smarter, right?
I mean, every industry is trying to figure out how to use AI in everything they do. I mean, AI is going to create a lot more jobs as well, but at the same time, I would say that there will be jobs that will be automated.
So you think AI has already hit the business effectively?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the tech sector. I mean, they've been talking about it for years now. The fact that you have more companies moving toward artificial intelligence, and they're looking at the fact that as opposed to paying somebody $200,000, $300,000 a year to do the job, I can actually use artificial intelligence to do the job that they used to be able to do.
This AI thing.
That's scary. Not just in the tech sector, but in like every other job, right? Because labor is the most expensive part about running any business. Having an individual person who relies on the income so they can live, buy food, have shelter, raise a family, all of that. But a CEO can be like, let's just cut our workforce in half because we could just automate the rest. Who cares about the other people? Let them figure it out. They'll find a way. Blah, blah. Let's just worry about us. It's pretty rough how our society is going to be like this, where it's all about the me, forget everyone else. And, we hope you find what you're looking for in your endeavors or whatever they say when they're letting you go, right?
Is real, it's not going away, and they can't have people holding them back. And so what they've been doing over the past year is finding places within the organization that they can trim so that they can get to a pace where they're shipping faster. So taking managers out, and then engineers who are like skilled for a previous generation of technology, they're also leaving to make room for people who are more skilled for artificial intelligence.
AI is definitely playing a role in the layoffs that we're seeing. Automation has increased efficiency for some of the workers who are able to utilize AI to make marketing decisions, to analyze data, to serve customers more efficiently and effectively. So AI is a paradigm shift that is changing the way people work and changing the priorities of tech companies.
Right now, I don't see that there's a big impact from AI in these tech layoffs. Some businesses have maybe cited that they're trying to shift priorities and they're letting some employees go to focus more energy on some of these generative AI tools. But I think it's important to say that that's very different than saying that companies are, well, we can let people go now because, generative AI and all these tools are taking jobs.
You would think these companies would task these skilled workers into doing something else to help expand and grow the company faster. But no, it doesn't work that way, right?
The tech industry used to have this shiny image of having big salaries and unlimited perks, but the recent tech layoff stories have completely shattered that image.
I really don't have any regrets about posting it or what's happened. I think the bigger picture is that I've been able to be a voice for people who have gone through something similar. The stories that I've received of people who were laid off 20, 30 years ago, and they still remember to this day how that made them feel. And it did not make them feel good. And I think that we should shed light on stuff like that so we can make a change. Otherwise, nothing will change.
With all the jobs being lost to automation, and soon, it's going to be AI, I'm surprised there's no talks about bringing back universal basic income. Remember about those talks about giving everyone $1,000 a month? The whole purpose of that is that the jobs that were taken over by tech and AI is now supplemented and being passed around to everyone for $1,000 a month. But I'm just saying that if it brings the discussion back, I'm not one for UBI, by the way, just for the record, because I do believe that anything given for free has no value.
In my experience, the public sharing of things like one's layoff, I think, is partially due to the fact of the rise of social media, such as TikTok, even YouTube Shorts. People are becoming much more comfortable with sharing their experiences. And oftentimes when layoffs happen, people feel shame when they are being laid off. In reality, though, oftentimes if people are being laid off, it's a failure of leadership of that company.
There's some truth to that. It's not always the employee's fault of why they're being laid off. It's executives make a bad decision, bad gamble, cost the company a lot of money, and they lay off all these people. That is very common. Now, if a company goes down because markets are changing and whatnot, I mean, it's just what it is. And some companies just fail to adapt. And they just let everyone go, and then the company goes down. Or they could just say, we don't need all these people. We could, kind of like self-checkout, how it is now. You only need one person to manage 6 registers because the customer is going to just use the machine themselves, right? The customer will learn how to manage the machine. They're doing it free labor to check out and get out of there faster, right? Same difference. When you could just, instead of having 6 people, you just need one person and AI for the rest. Oh, Cloudflare is that company that chick posted that short on when she was getting fired.
Tech companies that conducted widespread layoffs have seen a bounce in their stocks. The tech-heavy NASDAQ climbed 43% in 2023, its best year since 2020. Meta was the biggest gainer among big tech, surging over 194%. The tech stock boom also helped boost the wealth of tech billionaires. These super-rich CEOs saw their wealth grow by 48%, or $658 billion in 2023.
It's hard, particularly for a company like Google, which over the past 25 years hasn't gone through a moment like this. But, we've always deeply cared about our employees.
Yeah, you deeply cared about them enough, right? Sent them packing.
Not a sign of negative developments. They're in some sense a sign of positive developments, of a greater demand for their services and of automation and productivity improvements.
Now we see the stock market reacted quite favorably to this round of layoffs. We see these record stock prices for a lot of these tech companies. And so the stock price, the investors really favored profitability, really favored this lean year that these tech companies had. And so instead of rewarding the growth that we saw and that them all pursue years ago, they're now rewarding profit. And so the layoffs have continued. People have become used to them. And regrettably and sadly, it seems that the layoffs is going to be the new normal.
This doesn't exactly make sense to me. Maybe it's because I'm still thinking about the whole 2008 crash, where the stock market was going down, all these layoffs were happening. Right now we're having all these layoffs happening. Of course, again, not the same pace as 2008, but we're having layoffs. It's happening a lot, but yet the stock market's going up. It's like another K-shaped situation. Rich get richer and poor get poorer. This is really strange to me.
Data suggests an influx of layoffs in the tech industry starting from the second half of 2022 and peaking in 2023. Some non-tech sectors are also seeing widespread layoffs. A prime example is UPS. The courier giant raised eyebrows by announcing 12,000 job cuts in January. The media industry isn't immune to layoffs either. In 2023, the industry shed over 20,000 jobs. And 2024 looks no different as big names like Paramount, NBC, Sports Illustrated, the Los Angeles Times all have announced major job cuts in early 2024. The banking sector is also not shying away from cutting jobs. Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank are some of the big names that have already announced their layoff plans for 2024. It's worth noting that even though these mass layoffs continue dominating headlines, the labor market still seems strong. The U.S. economy added 353,000 jobs in January, much better than the Dow Jones estimate.
I'm trying to understand this. Like, how are there so many jobs when there's so much layoffs going on? I mean, is there something? Are people just switching jobs a lot? Is there just a lot of firing and hiring that same month? Or is it two jobs at the same time?
185,000 jobs, with the unemployment rate held at 3.7% against the forecast for 3.8%. Experts are divided on whether the recent tech layoffs would trickle down to non-tech sectors.
I know U.S. unemployment rates are skewed because, like, after 6 months, they stop giving you benefits and you're no longer part of the statistic. So there's still a ton of people who've been unemployed for more than 6 months. And it takes, like, on average to get the next job, like, around 6 months anyway. It takes forever to get another job, or at least a good paying job. Especially if you get laid off, you have to explain why you have this time where you haven't been working. It's frustrating as hell. I mean, you can work at being a server or whatever, these labor-intensive jobs right away, but if you had a good paying office job, you lose your job, and you're trying to find a similar job, it's going to take a long time.
Looking at the current job market right now, there's no evidence that we're going to see any trickling. Obviously, kind of the jury's still out. It's still early to tell. But it's interesting as we look back at 2023. 2023 was a year of a lot of layoffs in the tech industry, and we didn't see any of that trickle out. Even within the tech industry, which is usually, the government usually defines it as the information sector, we didn't see a very high layoff rate. So we saw a lot of companies announcing layoffs, but those companies kind of carried an outsized share of the media, because then once we rolled it all up, there was maybe about 1% of employment that was being laid off. So really, ultimately, the overall rate of people losing jobs to layoffs remains near historic lows.
It hasn't yet trickled down to the rest of the economy, as we're seeing the stock prices really high, unemployment fairly low. But at some point, if this continues, both companies and individuals are going to have to cut back spending, and that has consequences that reaches far beyond the tech industry.
Well, I mean, what more does a company need to cut back on spending when they just laid off all those people, saved a bunch of money on labor? I don't know what to make of this, though. It's strange how here in 2024, seeing all the headlines of tech layoffs and other layoffs. Tech is just the biggest of all of them that's with layoffs. But as they mentioned, banks are laying off, media's laying off, UPS, like all these companies are laying off, but the big one is tech. And I'm still trying to understand, okay, how is there still a surplus in new jobs? And don't forget, also, contractors, like if you get hired with a company to work as a contractor and you lose business with them, or you got laid off, they cut ties with you, it doesn't count as, a layoff because you're a contractor. And so many contractors have lost businesses or lost their jobs too. So it's cute. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. That's it for the comments. So please let me know whether you agree, disagree, comment below. Please hit the like, subscribe, and until the next video.